So what Mike and I did decide, we would take an existing campaign and walk you through what we have in that existing campaign. We originally thought about people um, creating their own campaign, and we would try to create a one-click politics campaign based on their campaign idea. But with the time allotted to us, that would not be very practical. So our hope is to give you an overview, to explain how it works. And really, it's not that hard once you get through it and you look back and say, oh, okay, I get it now. So we're going to open up one that we're working on, that was worked on before. And in one-click politics, you create your campaign, and there's a section where there's 5 sections here. You'll see campaign content. This is probably your most detailed section. And then there's another section, campaign settings, another one, customize widget, targeting, and display options. So each of these categories you need to go through to complete your campaign. I want to call your attention to the upper right-hand corner where it says Save Content. When you're going through each of these pages and you're making changes and you're typing in text and doing all sorts of things, if you leave this page, like if I'm on this page now and I click this very next section and I forget to save my content, you will lose everything you did on that page. So I recommend that when you make a few changes, go up there and click Save Content and lock in those changes. And then if you make a few more changes, go up there and click Save Content again to lock in those changes. That way you minimize the risk of leaving and not saving anything. So let's see now, I'm trying to figure out where my campaign name is. Here, down here, campaign name, tell your senators, support the Medicare for All Act of 2022. And the country that you'll be targeting, of course, is always the United States. Here you mark down what campaign type. There's single content, there's multi-content. For the most part, we're using single content, but you can see from the instructions, you can choose whether you would like your campaign to include 1 content or 2. Choosing multi-content will allow you to send 2 different emails to 2 different target lists. So that has a more complex purpose. And for now, we're going to stick with just the single content. Here, action taken. You're going to choose, do I want our people that are our activists, our participants, do we want them to send an email to their elected officials, the senator or the representative at either the federal or the state level? We click, yes, we want email. So this, when you choose this, the activist that sees your campaign and says, yeah, I want to contact my legislator about this issue or whatever, then they'll be able to choose to send an email to that legislator. But you control what goes. You can choose email, you can choose a Twitter, and you can choose a phone. I believe there's another option in here where you can even record a video, and that video will be sent to the office of the representative or senator, and it will be played with your message to them. So, but for now, we'll just stick with email, Twitter, and phone. Andrea Miller made a comment that most of her campaigns, she doesn't use the Twitter option. She just goes with email or phone. But obviously, we have whatever, these are all available, and we'll use whatever you want or you think would be good for your campaign in your state or in your region.
Paul,
Yeah,
I have a question. So where do you get the email database?
the beauty of the one-click politics system is all of your representatives and senators, your state and federal, their emails, their phone numbers, their addresses are all built into the system. So the activist doesn't have to know that. When they go in to use the one-click politics system and go to send their email and go to whatever, it automatically knows where to send that. So they don't have to start looking for that information, wondering where I'm supposed to send all this to. It's automatically directed for them.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then, oh, and by the way, at any point, feel free to interrupt me as I'm going through some of these things. I don't mind interruptions and stopping on something at any point. So now, email content. I want to click on that. Now, here is what you need to know. Those of us that have worked with the one-click politics system so far, and those of us that are more experienced with it, we don't mind helping people that have a difficult time with the one-click politics. As I'm explaining this and they're watching videos and they're trying to learn it and they're trying to understand it, and they're just having a hard time grasping all of that. We don't mind doing this part for them. But we do ask that if you want us to do a one-click politics campaign for you, that you go through the work of writing the email messages that are going to be sent to the legislators. So you want a campaign posted either through one of your email lists that you send out or on a website that you have, and you want somebody to click on a link and send an email to their senator or representative, you need to write or compose that email message that will be sent out. And what I've done here is I created 3 email messages. This was the primary one, the default one, they call it. And this has a unique subject line. But I also created a second and a third message. They have different subject lines. And then in the body of the email, I have different wording, different text, and maybe pointing out different arguments for the same issue. When you have, oh, and there's another one up here too. When you have multiple emails like this, if I wrote like a fourth and a fifth one, what happens then is that person 1 comes along and they click on our link and they send an email message, and person number 1 sees this first message that I composed. And then the next person comes along and they click on the link and they want to send an email message, and they don't get this one like the first person did, they get this next one. And then a third person comes along and they click on the link, they get this third message. Once it rotates through all of the messages that you have here, then it will go back to the start, to the first one again, the default one, and it goes through the whole process again. So it keeps rotating. That's how that works. So you can either choose to have one message here that always goes out to that senator or congressman or what have you, or you can have multiple messages. I think, and this is up to the person, but I think it's a good idea to have multiple messages. The more, the better. Number one, it's not as boring to the person or to the office that's getting the message. But number two is a perfect opportunity to educate them, not only on the arguments in your first message, you want to educate them about the arguments contained in your second message, other arguments that are in favor of your action or issue. Your third message could further educate them with further arguments in favor of your action or issue. So I think it's a terrific way to educate the people at that office, what, you know, on your topic, on your concern. So, but if you just want to do one, that's fine. We can do the one. You can also write a message, and we could keep, like, let's say I had just this one default message and I didn't have any of the other ones. I could have that in here and let that run in my campaign for, let's say, a month. And then I could create a whole new message and just copy and paste that new message and replace this message. So that way you're providing new content in your campaign. But at any rate, email is typically used by most people. So I would say you definitely want to include email messages in your campaign. Are there any questions on this part?
Yeah, Paul, I wanted to add
Yeah,
one reason to vary the content of your text is so that the robots that get these in the representative's office do not discount this as a form letter. And you can encourage each person to just modify a word or two that will help register this letter as distinct and not just a form letter. So you can use the three versions.
you're right.
Like Paul mentioned, or you can encourage the people you mail this to make it their own with a few words.
And the important point is, and we'll see this again later, the important point is when you're an activist or a participant who decides to participate in the campaign, if they come to the email message, they will have the ability to jump into that email message and alter any wording that they want. So they might say, well, I'm going to get rid of this last paragraph and put a different wording in there. They can do that. So some people, they're in a hurry. They want to help you. They want to support your campaign. They only have a few seconds. They're just going to send the email that you wrote. Other people have a little bit more time and they're a little bit more thoughtful and they want to personalize it more. They can do that. They can go through and change wording, add wording, whatever they want to do, and go ahead and send that as well. So, and that's good. It's good that they're able to do that. So anyways, I'm just wondering if that was clear enough for everybody.
Lydia
Yeah.
has her hand up.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, but I do have some questions around it. I don't know. First of all, like Mike sent out this email about sending out a message that you sent regarding the privatization of Medicare and holding hearings. So I went in and I wrote this thing up and it said submit. And I selected Michael Bennett. Did it go to him? How do I know that?
Okay. Here's how the one-click politics system works. When it comes to the Senate, especially, and I think with the federal congressional, based on who you are and where you live, your address, it knows who your senators are and it knows who your congressperson is. It will restrict your communications to just those people. All right. So
I know Michael Bennett is my senator, so I sent it to him. I rewrote it myself.
Yeah.
And, but at the end it says submit. Does that mean it went to Michael Bennett?
yeah.
Okay,
It's-
but I
it's not-
couldn't tell. I'm saying, how do you tell if it went? How do you-
Well, and that's part of us. We need to educate better to say that when you're using the one-click politics system, it knows who your senators are and who your congressperson is. And when you click submit, it knows who to send it to, and it will send it right to those offices.
But I don't know. I'm just assured that it did it, right?
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
I don't get a response or like your
Well-
message has been sent or
Well,
whatever.
the senator's office usually, and maybe you can educate me more on this, because I do contact my senators, but I know that every time I reach out to them, I get a response.
You usually do
I-
send a response, but I didn't get one. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's a difference between senators on how they handle that. I don't know enough to speak to that. But I would wonder if I did get a response, I would definitely wonder about that. Yeah.
Well, I called and left a message, and I also sent the email through the one-click politics. So that was one question. My question was, first, I think for me is for me to take the action first and learn how to do it as a person. But
Yeah.
then the next step, I'm assuming, is that I would get our organizational list and ask people to send it also through our organization.
Yes.
Okay, so when we do that, I'm not clear if like, does it create a link and we send it, or do we have to create a link?
Right.
How
And,
do we
and
get
yeah,
it from one-click politics into our email list?
right. And that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. But you're
Okay.
right. What we're doing here when we're building this entire campaign, what we're going to produce is a hyperlink.
Okay,
And that hyperlink, you're either going to embed that in your email message out to your list, your distribution list. All right. And then when they click on that link, it'll bring them to what we call a widget that starts the process. Or you can add that link to your website or to your Facebook page or
okay,
to your Twitter, whatever media you use, you can share that hyperlink with others. And when they click, they will be brought to the widget, and that's where they start the process.
okay.
So I didn't explain that at the beginning, and so you were wondering, and it's good that you asked, so now you know.
So
Yeah.
then if we have a tech person who helps send out emails to our group,
Uh-huh.
should that person get trained then? And
Oh, yeah, we want people that, well, first of all, we want to train people that know enough to where they can use it to the best of their ability. And we would love to have some people that use it and say, hey, I like this, I enjoy this. We would love to have a few of those people, because we're hoping that the one-click politics toolkit will be popular. More and more people will want to use it. They'll want to create campaigns and spread their links. And if you, for example, were learning this and you've got it under your belt and you feel pretty confident about it, and if you want to help others who are just starting, we would love to have you in our group. So, yeah,
Thank you.
but now at the same time, if there's people that, they don't take to some of this stuff, we understand, and they might have a more difficult time with it. Well, we're going to meet them where they are, and we'll help them along from where they let them go as far as they can, and we'll take it from there.
Paul,
Yes,
I'm wondering if
Yeah.
a lot of times when you do send an email through other organizations, there is a little thing saying, congratulations, your email was successfully submitted or something like that. Is there a place, a setting on here that you can set that so it does tell people that it was submitted?
on here, not that I'm aware of. Because we're producing a link here and that's about it. The email program you use to send out that link is a different thing. So I don't know. I don't know if I know that Gmail, for example, has the capability of letting the sender know if their email was opened or not. But I don't know enough about one-click politics to answer that. Now, I can find out, I can research that and find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Caroline has her hand up.
Yeah. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, I'm wondering, when I first saw this, the way the message is laid out, and it talks about especially co-sponsors, I know sometimes you get those that are like, we want to encourage our elected officials to co-sponsor the Medicare for All Act. And then, you log in or the system has your address and then it tailors the message to what that legislator has already done. Like if they're already a co-sponsor, then it sends them a thank you letter. This issue is very important to me. Please promote it with your colleagues. Versus if your legislator has not co-sponsored, it'll say, please co-sponsor. Do you know if that's built into this, or is there a way that we can build it in?
Well, off the top of my head, and again, this speaks to my inexperience level. I know just so much about one-click politics, and there might be more sophisticated aspects of it that I haven't encountered yet. But I can look into that. But off the top of my head, I would say create two campaigns. One campaign would be for the representatives who have not co-sponsored. And then the other campaign would be for those who have co-sponsored. And just do two separate campaigns for now. And then we can look deeper into, are we able to know who is co-sponsoring and who isn't co-sponsoring? To my knowledge, we're aware of who is on certain committees, and we can target people on a committee.
Yeah.
But does it go deeper than that? Does it say, well, which ones are in support and which ones are not? I don't think so, but I don't want to say any more than that until I do some further checking.
Yeah, I think we're all learning this together.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I do want to make a point of mentioning that anything we learn together, we're going to share that out so that people are able to learn with us. So if we learn anything new, we'll get the word out.
Jenny has her hand up.
So I
That-
guess my question is, when you enter in the information and you submit, it's going from your email account, like your personal email account. Is that right?
Yes, because I think
Okay.
you're putting in your email account on the widget that the starting point for the participant or activist is going to be the widget, and they put in their name and their email and all that. So that is going to be showing their email address as the originator's email.
And so in that respect, you should be able to just go to your sent box and confirm that you sent an email. So that may be a way that you can figure out whether or not you actually did send it to.
Right. But now in terms of, did they open it? Did they delete it? Did they respond to it or whatever? That part I'm not aware of. I mean, hopefully they respond and you get something back, and then that way for sure you've you connect it with somebody. So now the email rotator, I already covered that part of it. So we're going to shrink the email action content. And now we're going to have the phone action content. And here is where, like, let's say they say, yes, I want to contact my senator's office and tell them that I support this. Then what you can do, this is like a phone script. You can either kind of put the words in their mouth and say, here, just read this and you'll be done with your call. Or you can put paragraphs that raise the main points that you want them to say in their phone call and go with that. So basically, I'm assuming the person making the phone call, if they decide to do so, they're going to read your script and they'll know in advance of placing the call what they need to say. And then it's up to them if they want to read it word for word or just use their own words. Everybody's different. So, but you want to write this phone script for them. You want to put in there the main points that you think need to be covered when they do make that phone call. So the hard work of the person that wants to do a campaign, a one-click politics campaign, is basically before reaching out to us to get one set up and running, you need to write out your email messages, compose them and write them out. And you need to compose your Twitter message if you want to send a tweet. And you need to compose your phone script content. And once we have those three things, that's the main work, really. That's the more time-consuming work. Then we can copy and paste what you wrote and put them into these different sections here and build the campaign based on what you wrote. And you can also, if you have a group of you in your state and you're working on a campaign, and I'm just using arbitrary names here. Let's say you were in Wyoming and there's something happening at the state level. There's a single payer bill that you're trying to move along or whatever. And a group of you want that to happen. You can just have a group of you get together and write email messages or write letters, write a tweet, just put your heads together and write up what's required for the one-click politics campaign and submit that. So, but is there any question on the phone action content section? Okay. Now, you heard me talking about the widget preview or the widget, and really, this is what, when you give out that link, this is what the person sees when they click on that link. So these are three different types of widgets. And on the first one, it's your form field. And here we created a title or a header. Tell your senators to co-sponsor Medicare for All Act of 2022, Senate Bill 4204. Arlene made a very strong point that when you write your text for these widgets, the header, the content inside these boxes, make them short and to the point. Be succinct. Condense the wording. It's more effective if you can say it in a strong way and in minimal words. So just remember to be direct and to the point. So you'll notice that that title at the top, this is the action that we want the activist or the participant to take. We want them to tell their senators to co-sponsor the Medicare for All Act. That appears here on the form field. This is where they file their name or fill in their name. I just want to see your city, your zip code. So your email address, your phone number, your address, your city, your zip. And that's how they can tell, the system can tell who your congressman is, who your senator is going to be. So, and this is, remember, not only your federal, but your state House and your state Senate. They bases it on that information. Now, in the second field, when they fill out this first part, it'll click the next button. It'll bring them out to this next thing, which is your email widget. And that's where it'll show the recipient names, the senators and the congressmen or whoever else is pertinent to their campaign. And then you're able to see here your subject matter for the email. And then you'll see the, remember what I told you, the default email that I wrote? That whole part is, that whole text is right here. And the person can click inside that small window and they can rewrite or rephrase, do whatever they want on that email if they wish. Now, on that topic, I just want to make a point. I don't think in one click, I don't think in one payer states, we need to worry about people going in and abusing or, abusing their privilege and putting something that we don't want them to say into the email message. So we're going to trust our members to use it responsibly. But if you are going to be sending this out to a broader audience and you're worried about bad actors putting in wrong messages, you can lock this message so that they can't alter it. They can't jump in and change anything or edit anything. It has to be sent the way it was originally written. So there's an option for that. So we can do it one way or the other, depending on what the situation is or what you feel. So I just want to mention that. I think in most cases, we're not going to have that option used, but it's nice to know it's available. And then after they submit, they get this next one, and it says, thank you for contacting your senators. Call your senators now to drive home your message. So if the person wants to make the phone calls, they can click here, start call. And they'll, it'll call the recipient name, like the senator, like for Michigan, it would be Senator Stabenow and Senator Gary Peters. And then your phone number goes here. And then here's where your call script goes so that they can read the call script and it'll guide them on what to say. Now, let's say that if you want them to share your widget, share your link to their friends and their organizations, their networks. You can click Facebook. They can share it on their Facebook page. They can click on the tweet symbol. They can share it that way. Here's an email too, also, if they want to email that out. What does the IN stand for again? I forget. Does anybody know?
That's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Oh, it's the, okay, LinkedIn. Okay. So they can use that as well. Bottom line, the biggest part of the work is on this first section, campaign content. And this kind of gives you the basic overview of what the wording is going to be and the widget, how that appears, this kind of thing. Now, the next section, now remember what I told you, I would have been very unhappy with myself if I had wrote all that up and forgot to click save settings. So I went from the first section to the next section, did not click on save settings. Bad, bad, bad. So always remember to click that before you leave the page. In this case, it doesn't matter because all of the stuff is already saved anyway. So, okay, so here, campaign settings. So now we're talking about include an opt-in box. Turn this setting on to give advocates the choice to opt out of providing you their contact information. If an advocate unchecks the box, it is checked by default. You will not receive their signature details, name, email, etc. in your CSV or data sinks. So we have that option turned off, but be aware that that option can be turned on depending on what the situation is. Make phone field required. So basically, if we want to have that phone number from them, we'll put that on. Let me read that to make sure there's nothing else. Add a phone field to your widget and require that every advocate enter it before continuing. Note, if the campaign uses phone action, a phone field will be included and required in your widget regardless of the setting. Additional notes, campaigns with US targets at the national level must require the phone field in your widget or delivery cannot be made. So good to know. Locked email text. Now, remember I told you that they have the ability to jump in and edit the text any way they want. If you turn this on, that will lock the original email text in place. They will not be able to edit anything. They can only send what was originally written. The kiosk mode, it clears the form each time it is loaded. This is best utilized for instances in which many people will be signing in or signing a form on the same device, such as tabling during an in-person event or canvassing. You don't want your information being saved for the next person that comes along. You want, after you submit your information, you want it to be erased off that screen so that the next user can start fresh. Accept international signatures. We have that off. I don't think we would have a need for somebody from outside of the country signing our campaigns. If we did, we would enable that, but I doubt if we would see that. Constituent mail only. This setting ensures advocates only contact targets within their districts. For example, if your target is a committee, advocates will only email their own reps on the committee. Note, at the request of our affiliated targets, this setting is always on for US Congress. So if you want to firebomb somebody that's not your senator or representative, no can do. At the federal level, but it doesn't say anything about the state level. So state reps and state senators are still free game, I guess. Petition mode. In petition mode, all submitted advocate data will be collected, but actions will not be submitted to targets. Verify senders' email addresses. When the setting is on, your advocates will be required to validate their email address through an automatically generated email message before their campaign content is delivered to targets. I don't know. Personally, I kind of like that idea. You'd be amazed at how many people mistype their own email address. It just adds another layer of insurance for accuracy anyway. But for now, we aren't using that. Redirect advocates after taking action. So if they go through the whole process, they've sent their email and they've made their phone call, you can put in a link at the end of the widget, at the end of the process, that will take them to another page. Like maybe your organization has a donate page, you can take them to that. Or you might have a membership sign up page, you can link to that. So there is an option to link to a page on your website or wherever after they finish the process. Social share settings, shared link to a page with your embedded widget. Enter the link for the page that you would like to have your advocates to share to social media. This should ideally be the link to the page where you have embedded this campaign's widget. So if you embed the link, the widget link on your homepage on your website, then you would want your homepage link right here. Twitter share text. Pre-fill the text for the Twitter share button. This text will be tweeted from the Twitter share dialog. Do not include the URL as it is pulled in from the shared link above. So save the wells. And then they've got hashtag save the wells, and then add your handle tag below. I have not used it enough to see what happens here, so I'm not going to comment too much further on that one. Twitter mention tag, add a via your Twitter handle mention tag to your tweet. Please do not include via at, only include your Twitter handle without the at symbol. Mine's like PG Warrick, so I don't put at PG Warrick in here. I just put PG Warrick. It knows to put the at in there for me. Okay, this entire section here, it's really quite self-explanatory and maybe a little bit boring, but it covers pretty much all aspects. So we can go on to the customized widget. That's the next section. Here, the widget that I was showing you down here, we have all sorts of options for color and sizes. We can add a photo at the top. We can add a photo and make it background. We could add a solid color and make it background. We have all sorts of different formats and ways of showing the widget. So what Andrea has mentioned is that this is something that you play with as you're creating the widget, and what you do is you practice, you go with different colors, different text, whatever you want to go with, and then create what you like best. So Mike, are you more versed about this than I am?
No, but I noticed that Lydia has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Lydia.
My question, not on the screen before where you were doing the social media and entering I guess your organizational email. My question is, if we use this as an organization, does One Payer States or One Click Politics, are they able to access our membership list that way?
Well, we would not access your membership list. But first of all, when you're going through this process, you're going through this process as an individual, not as an organization. So like, let's say your organization has 100 members. So we don't have 100 members putting in your organization's email. Each of your members will be putting in their own personal email. They'll be putting in their own personal home address, and their own personal.
That's what I'm saying though, is
Yeah.
when
But-
people put their email in there, is it then identified by One Payer States or One Click Politics organization and they get their email that way? I mean,
Mike,
somebody will
Mike,
probably ask me that.
well, and let me get an answer, because I don't see the output that comes through. Mike, can you speak to that at all? What do we know about the information of the people that participate? Does that get reported to us in any way, or do we have access to that information?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, that's a question that we're gonna have to find out, and we'll get
I
back to
just
you.
wondered.
Oh, no, that's a good question.
Yeah,
And I want to know myself, so,
We usually say we're not gonna give their email to anybody or, privacy stuff.
yeah. And I know that my own organization, Michigan for Single Payer Healthcare, they're very, very protective of our members' information.
Yeah,
So that's understandable.
okay.
So, okay, so we'll get the answer. Oh, by the way, if you have other questions after this presentation, feel free to email us and add to the list of questions, because we'll take those questions and we'll do our best to get answers on every one of them. So customizing the widget. I don't want to mess around with this too much because we have an existing campaign here, but take my word for it. You can change background color. You can change the button color. You can change the transparency level of a color. What does that say? Font family. We can change the type of font that you want to use in the text. So we have a lot of different options there. Now, I'll just say that it's not as flexible as I would like it to be. It is kind of restrictive. So you're kind of forced to make a choice between 3 different types of widgets and formats. And you just have to kind of keep playing around until you get the one that you like. But I'm hoping that down the road, the software becomes more sophisticated and provides us more flexibility on that.
so we're right at 6:30, Paul, and
Okay.
I thought maybe if we could just say a little bit about targeting and then show the URL.
Yes. Okay, targeting. Here is the list of all your senators and Congress people and whatever. If you want to, over here on the right-hand side is your empty target list. So if you want to put down your 2 senators and all of your congressmen in Washington or in California or whatever, you can target just the state of California and their names will all appear here. If you want to target a committee, you can go that route as well, and their names will all appear here. Remember, constituents can only reach their home representative, their home district representative, and their state senators. They can't reach people outside. Mike, are we able on the federal level to reach a committee member if they're in another state? Is that acceptable or no?
I think it has to be.
Almost, thank God.
I think it has to be from the constituent. So
Okay.
we send out these the URL all across the country, and so for Michigan, then it will go to your representative.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. In the interest of saving time, I'm not going to, but basically I can click names here and put them over here and whatever. So you can define your target list on this side here. And remember, oh, there's states. So this would, if whatever state you're in, it will bring up the different representatives or state senators in that state. Municipalities, this is not a comprehensive list. There's only some of your major cities listed here, not all. So like, let's say that I'm near Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. That definitely is not listed in this list of cities. But I do have the option of creating a custom list for Sault Ste. Marie, but I have to research who all the city officials are, the people sitting on the city commission, and what their email addresses are, and what their phone numbers are, and all this stuff. So I can build a database for Sault Ste. Marie city commissioners so that people in the city of Sault Ste. Marie can reach out to their commissioners. But I would need to get all that information about them to do that. There is no way to build counties. Let's say I want to contact my county commissioners. We don't have a way currently in the one-click politics campaign to do that. However, you can designate them as a state government entity, even though they're county only, not state. But the best way to build them in would be to identify them as county commissioners, put in their names, get all their contact information and whatever else you need, and then put that into the database. But when they go to that state, they will see these county commissions with the name of their county after their names, or listed by them. So there's a way to do it. But again, this is another example of where I'm hoping they upgrade the software down the road so that they'll be able to do that for us so that we're not going through this extra hurdle. And then the final thing is your display options. And here's where the widgets, the pages, the 2-column layout, the image background layout. Remember I said you can put a background image there. These are images that can be used for the campaign. I'm sorry that I'm racing through this, but our time is limited now. But bottom line is, here is the link that is generated that you will be giving to your participants, to your activists to use. So on my campaign that I created here, here is what I came up with. And then what it is tell your senators to co-sponsor a Medicare for All Act of 2022. And you write in, just 2 or 3 small paragraphs or 3 or 4 small sentences. Again, you just want it to be brief, to the point, not dragged out. And then over here is step 1 of the widget that you will have them fill out to begin the process. And then when I hit next, after I fill in my information, I hit next, that'll take me to the email widget. And then when I finish sending my emails, I hit next, it takes me to the phone script widget. But this is what appears when people click on that link. And that's where the process starts when they want to send their emails or phone calls or tweet messages to their representatives. And that's a quick walkthrough on one-click politics. I I don't expect it to be comprehensive and you got everything out of it, but it gives you a pretty good walkthrough. And anybody that wants to try it out, you have a campaign right now that you would love to use One-Click Politics for, we'll be happy to work with you on that.
Well, thanks, Paul. And I'll send the video of this to everybody on One Pair of States, and so you will be included. And please send your questions to Paul or me, and we'll improve this with each suggestion, most likely. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should mention my email address is pgwarrick@gmail.com. That's WARRICK. pgwarrick@gmail.com.
Well, thanks, Paul. That's wonderful and concise and informative. And thanks everybody for attending. Yeah. Any other closing comments by anybody? Caroline?
Oh, that was great. Gosh, I've had my mute off, but thank you, Paul, especially for that presentation. That was extremely helpful. And I think we're all eager to step up our advocacy. So I think this is going to be a great tool for us.